In episode 9, when Tomas dies, Rose and Dr. Cole both heard him screaming. After the stabbing and the fact that they're fairly certain that Tomas is dead, they don't have an option. They know Marcus isn't playing games. They're going to have to up productivity. And they create 15 canisters of the chemical weapon. After doing these 15 canisters, Dr. Cole thinks that's enough, but Marcus's men let him know it's not. Start a new batch. And Dr. Cole knows that 15 canisters could leak out of whatever building they're trying to attack and into the streets. So what he's going to do is he's going to slightly change the recipe. It's a risk because it might change the color, but it'll make the weapon ineffective. While they work on that, Peter and Noor are working on getting into the UN. When Noor realizes that Peter needs to get in a security general's office, she says, that guest badge isn't going to get you there. You need higher clearance than that. And that's good info, and Peter says, yeah, I'll figure something out. Noor gives Peter the name of a guy named Lars. He's the principal advisor to the Secretary General. He'll help you with whatever you need as long as he thinks you're important. Once they both successfully get into the UN, now it's time to go their separate ways. Peter tells her once she gets out, call Sami on the phone. He's tracking the phone, so he should be close by. He'll pick her up, take her to her mother. He then apologizes for everything he did, but he lets her know, I really appreciate your help with this. Noor heads to meet with a French rep who she knows that works at the UN to hand over the paperwork. She lets the rep know, you need to protect all the people on this list immediately. And the rep tells her, they're going to kill you for this. But Noor says, I know what I'm doing. She then receives a phone call from her friend back at the Iran embassy, who tells her, Noor, Javed knows where you are. You got to get the hell out of there. He knows you're at the UN. This gets Noor to flee the building immediately, where she walks into a rally for one of the presidential candidates. There's a ton of people there, but somehow Javed is able to find her. And in the middle of this crowd, he grabs her and he tells her, I'm taking you back to the embassy. But Noor, thinking quickly, bumps into one of the guys that's at the rally. This guy turns around, he thinks that Javed did it. Javed tells him to pound sand. This guy has a bunch of people with him, and a fight breaks out, but it lets Noor get away. Unfortunately, during all of this, Noor's cell phone broke, so she can't call Sami. But as Noor is trying to flee the scene, she gets intercepted by Sami. Sami takes Noor to her mother, and it's a really emotional reunion for both of them. As for Javed, when he gets back to the embassy, he is banged up and bruised, and his day's about to get a lot worse. The ambassador is kind of sick of Javed. Javed has some choice words for the ambassador for letting Noor go. Even though the ambassador said, what do you want me to do? She ran off. Javed said some things about the ambassador's daughter. So, in return, the ambassador flexed his muscles. He brought Javed into the meeting, and he pinned everything on Javed. He showed security camera footage of Javed cozying up to Noor. And he said, look, I don't know what this is, but I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like you were helping out the traitor the entire time. A very angry Javed denies all of this. He says that the ambassador is completely wrong. He's never going to get away with this. But the evidence does look damning if you look at it from the side that the ambassador is pitching. In doing this, the ambassador just stuck everything on the head of security who was threatening him earlier and a girl who is now in FBI protection, all the while also protecting his own daughter. Now, as for Peter, he was able to swipe an IT badge leaving one of the elevators. He used this to go to the guy's office that Noor suggested. He just posed as an IT guy looking to clean up some of the files. But when Lars, the guy that Noor told Peter to look out for, comes around the desk and asks Peter an IT question, he notices what Peter's looking at. And Peter has no choice but to use some force on the guy. It's actually a good thing he does, because what Lars tells him is, the file you're looking for is not on this computer, it's in the archives. And I'll take you to him. Lars is not really a guy that looks like he gets into many fights. He does, though, attempt to put up one when they get near a UN security officer and Lars blows the whistle, but Peter just takes the security guard out and he gives Lars a look like, dude, seriously? Come on, man. Lars, knowing that that was his one opportunity to get away, says, okay, I'll help you out now. And he takes Peter to the archives. He tells Peter where he can locate the file, and Peter is able to grab it and get out of the UN, unscathed. As he's trying to get away, he gets caught by Catherine, and he runs. Catherine runs after him, and he ends up running through the same political rally that Noor was in. But in the middle of this rally is Solomon, who sees Catherine, he grabs her, and he puts a gun to her. It allows Peter to get away, but Solomon has big plans for Catherine. He brings her to a parking garage and he tells her to get into the trunk of a car. Catherine's not about to do that, though. Catherine fights back and she ends up killing Solomon. Peter, meanwhile, went to go meet up with this mystery man and give him the file that he wanted in order to get the location of Rose. But before he hands it over, he says, "Who is this file about?" He tells Peter all about Victor Bala and the mess that he found himself in. But he said it would have taken somebody very high up in the UN or the ICC to tamper with that investigation, i.e. the Secretary General. Peter still is hesitant to hand over the file, and the guy tells him, "Dude, you've already paid for this. Your fingerprints, your facial ID, it's all over the UN database. You might as well hand it over and get your information." Peter hands it over. The guy checks the file. He finds the one he's looking for. And he also tells Peter, "By the way, the UN security tapes with your face, fingerprints, it'll be wiped by morning. I take care of my sources." He then gives Peter the location of the mobile lab. He then hands Peter a phone because he knows he owns Peter. And he says, "When I call, you're going to answer this." As promised, when he gets this information, the first person he calls is Catherine to let her know where they can find the mobile lab and Rose. As for Rose and Dr. Cole, their little stunt of trying to tamper with the KX didn't work. Marcus was onto them. So they decided to pivot and just create another type of chemical. It was a knockout agent. Unfortunately, they weren't able to knock out Marcus. He took the 15 canisters and he left, but he left 5 guys behind. And Dr. Cole and Rose figured they could knock out 15 guys with a chemical and escape. It does work. They find Dr. Cole's family. They also find Tomas's body. But as they try to flee, they realize that they didn't knock out everybody. There's 2 guys with gas masks chasing them down. By this point, Peter has shown up. He talks to Dr. Cole's daughter to find out exactly what's going on inside, and he heads in with a gas mask to try to save the day. Peter goes all Jason Bourne. He heads on in there, he takes out both guys, and by the time they leave, the place is swarming with cops. One of the people that's there at this point is Catherine. She goes over to debrief with both Rose, Dr. Cole, Peter, and when Rose mentions that Tomas Bala tried to sabotage the plan, Peter says, "Wait, Victor Bala's son?" And Catherine says, "Wait, Victor Bala?" Rose goes on to explain Tomas, but more importantly, the danger is Marcus. She knows he's headed to the UN because she saw the uniforms. Now it all makes sense. Peter says to both of them that Victor Bala blames the UN. He said that America sold him that chemical weapon that he was arrested for, but they covered it up. And now they know the plan is to use that KX on the UN. Time is running out for Catherine and Peter to stop it.
Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.